Good evening. I just want to talk a little bit about Child Protection Services and how they, amongst other factions, are leading the attack against the family. Now, this video is going to be for a lot of young people that have children outside of marriage, and not only them, but everybody. People don't understand what they're getting involved in by calling Child Protection Services. Now, I can speak of this personally because my child was taken from me a few years ago. Thankfully, she was awarded to my mother, who legally adopted her, but it's a long story and I won't get into that. I'm thankful for it because it actually led to my recovery and my coming to the knowledge of the truth. Anyway, Child Protection Services have more authority than the FBI. They don't need a warrant to come to your house. They can just show up and do as they please. Now, this is very common in Illinois, and I've seen it with a lot of people who I've known my whole life. They've been granted this authority from the wonderful U.S. government. They don't need it. They can question your child. I mean, this is just as bad as it gets. They question your child, and of course they can trick them very easily. There doesn't take much expertise to do that. But this article here, at least 786 children died of abuse or neglect in the U.S. in a 6-year span in plain view of child protection authorities. Many of them beaten, starved, or left alone to drown, while agencies had good reason to know they were in danger. Now, another thing you should know is the government actually gives your state and county judges kickbacks for awarding adoption. They actually pay states to legally abduct your children and put them up for adoption. They get kickbacks. This is an attack on the family. It's part of the gay agenda, the legal marriage, gay marriage, the legalization of gay marriage adoption. It's a straight attack on the family. So I was just wanting to make a video because you hear it all the time when young couples get in fights that have children, and they're threatening to call Child Protection Services. That is the worst thing you could do. They will put the kids on drugs. They'll take them away because your parents are on drugs. But then the first thing they want to do is put your child on drugs. Alex Jones covered this a lot, and take him for what he's worth, but he did a lot of good coverage on the tyranny of Child Protection Services. This family of 11 were kidnapped by CPS. They were homeschooled. They were in no danger. They were in no danger. They just didn't think their education was up to par. I'm going to leave you with a short video. This is a good site. I will leave the link in the description. They've got videos, all kinds of stuff, so check it out. Kids, with kids, young adults. First of all, anybody in a relationship at a young age, this is a thing of the past. Sex outside of marriage, and not only my opinion but biblically, is one of the most dangerous things and biggest abomination of the Lord. Sex is meant to be enjoyed, but inside the marriage you will have a spiritual hedge of protection if you restrain from sex until marriage. If you do not, I can personally testify, You could be tormented by lust, perversion, anxiety, guilt, all kinds of sexual fornication and immorality. It's almost a thing of the past, but do whatever you got to do to keep yourself from having sex before marriage. You just don't understand the danger. But not to get off topic, young couples out there with children, the worst thing you could do is call Child Protective Services. Now, there are children and people out there that are abused, and within the community, it's not just the couples. Adults out there, do not call Child Protective Services. You're not doing anybody any favor. If you think a child is being abused, that's your opinion, okay? These parents brought these children into the world, and God will deal with them if they are mistreating them. Now, I can't give advice on what to do if you see kids bruised up or whatever. And there are probably some success stories of Child Protection Services, but for the most part, they will drug your kids, they will put them in unsafe places, maybe even around perverts and molesters. The judges get kickbacks from the federal government for every child that is successfully adopted. This is just an attack on the family amongst everything else. So you guys have a good night. Stay away from these guys. They are satanic CIA agents that want to do nothing but destroy the family unit.
Mr. Pop. Eat.
They don't want you to know what's going on, because if you did, you would rebel, you would fight back. What I present is not good news. It will shock some and anger many, but it is necessary to help the past, present, and future victims of an agency which has ripped families apart for decades. I'm talking about Child Protective Services, and I was one of their foot soldiers as a CPS investigator. Presently, there are over 400,000 children in out-of-home care and in the protection of this organization, and therefore I find it imperative to come out and expose the truth about what they are in order to atone for my sins. As an investigator, I was guilty of working for an organization that has hampered freedom throughout the United States and has caused millions of parents to live in fear. I was guilty of working for an agency that has done more to carry out the war on drugs than the war against child abuse. I'm guilty for working for an agency that was directly funded more for every child that was taken from a parent, that treated children as a product that was abused physically, sexually, and emotionally. I'm guilty of working for Child Protective Services. Through insight, historical analysis, experience, and interviews with top attorneys, family court judges, and victims, you will be exposed to the truth about what Child Protective Services is, and more importantly, the most thorough explanation of what to do if Child Protective Services comes after you and your family that has ever been produced.